Go ahead.
Hey everybody, welcome to our community Zoom. My name is Sarah Kroger and I am your host for this evening. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your Sunday evening. Somebody, if you hear a crazy amount of like water and dish clanging in the back, just wave at me and I'll make my daughter happily, I'm sure she'll happily stop doing dishes. But we had a late dinner and everything is still getting done. I am a mom of 6 and a homesteader. We still have some animal chores that need to get done, some birds that need to get closed up. It never ends. But I learned really early that taking this time for me and my health journey and my progress allowed me to serve others well. So rather than having it take away from what I was doing, take away from what I was offering to other people, take away from what I was able to offer other people, it gave me the opportunity to serve others well. Do me a favor, if you're on and you are not muted, hit that little mute button so that it doesn't, so we don't hear you, whatever it is that you're doing in the background. So I wanted to talk to you tonight. There are a lot of people on here tonight who have been doing a challenge group for a while, but there are some people who are just kicking off with us. And wherever you are, we are kind of starting a new chapter in our challenge groups. And the way that our team runs is our challenge group, our team of coaches has 3 or 4 different challenge groups right now based on who your coach is. There's no difference in the different groups. It's just to keep them small enough so that your coach can really connect with you and that all of you in the challenge group can really get to know each other and build that community that really is the game changer. It really is the bridge between your subscription to Beachbody On Demand and your results. That group really is the connector between your intention and where you end up. And so we separate the groups because we tried to do it all together and it just was too many people. So if you see people, like if you don't know me because I'm not in your group, that's who I am. And if you see other people leading, we come together every Sunday night and offer different topics so that you can just have a good start to your week. So whether you're starting new or whether you are just kind of doubling down on your commitment, I want to welcome you and kind of give you some tips. So I am married, and like I said, I've got 6 kids, and my husband is a hunter. And he started off primarily hunting deer. He doesn't do a whole lot of fishing or hunting or trapping, other things. He mostly hunts deer, but every once in a while he does do some other things. And he primarily hunts with a bow and arrow. He doesn't do a lot of hunting with other means. But one day he says to me, I think I'm going to go bow fishing with my friend Dan. And I kid you not, I thought he made it up. I thought it was some kind of like hillbilly code because we grew up in the suburbs, right? But now we live out in the country in basically Amish overflow. Like there's just as many buggies around me as there are actual cars. We kind of live out in the middle of nowhere and now I love it, but it's been an adjustment for us. And so I for real thought it was like something he and his buddy made up, like a little, now we live in the country and we're rednecks kind of thing. And he's like, I'm going to go bow fishing. But they do it at night because, and I'm not going to get into why, but they use spotlights and they hunt this invasive species of fish. And it's kind of like a service to the area. And don't get me wrong, there's a redneck element to it. They have a good time, but they literally have a bow and arrow and the arrow has a tether on it so that you can shoot into the water and then haul back in what you caught. So it's like fishing with weapons, right? So they go at like 10 o'clock at night and he comes home at like 3 in the morning. He obviously doesn't do it very often, but when he does, they have a grand old time and I'm happily asleep in bed, not on a boat in the middle of the night. But he's all excited because his buddy Dan, who's friends of ours for a long time, just got a new boat. Except it's not a new boat. It's just a new to him boat. And so he has this huge checklist of things that he's running through as he's preparing for his first time in the water. Because I think we all know that it would be pretty foolish of him to get this boat that, remind you, is not brand new, it's just new to him, and take it out on the water at 10 o'clock at night in the dark and hope for the best. I think we can all agree that that probably is poor planning on his part, right? He needs to check it over. He needs to check the engine. He needs to check the boat itself. He needs to make sure that the pump is working so that if there is a hole in the boat, he's not stranded in the middle of a lake in the middle of the night, right? He needs to make sure that his lights work. He needs to make sure that all of the pieces of the engine work and that they get water in the right places and not in the wrong places and all that kind of stuff that I've never run a boat, so I don't know about. But we can all agree that he needs to do some things ahead of time to make sure that his boat is going to carry him to and from the shore according to his timeline, and that they're not going to be stuck somewhere in the middle of a lake. And so he has to just look it over. He has to test things out. He has to check the engine. He has to look for literal holes in the boat. But then he also has to have a plan for what if something goes wrong when he is out in the middle of the water. Having, flares in case there's an emergency. Having, like I said, making sure the pump works in case the boat does start to take on water. Or having life vests in case of, whatever. He has to have all of that stuff in place. And it really struck me how similar that is to what we're getting ready to do. So for us, rather than just slamming into Monday and hoping for the best, we need to take a little bit of time to think ahead. Because really you have two options, because I guarantee you something is going to happen. Something is going to happen in your journey. You're going to have a kid get sick, or you're going to hit a holiday, or school's going to start, or shoot, it's just Monday, or you'll be out of coffee, or something's going to happen. And you have two choices. You can either slam into Monday and just spend your whole day putting out fires, right? Whenever anything pops up, you can spend all your time and energy putting out fires, and then you'll be exhausted and defeated at the end of the first week. Or you can take a little bit of time ahead of time to make a plan. Oh, somebody you miss, when you're watching the recording, you miss the benefit of the chat on the side. So I really always encourage people to get on live, because we are known for being a very fertile team. We always have somebody who's pregnant, currently having a baby, or has a newborn. And it seems to be pretty standard that people hit a point in their first trimester where coffee no longer tastes good. And then we all have a moment of silence for that. And then we move on. But you can spend that time putting out all the fires around you and being exhausted and kind of self-fulfilling. See, I told my coach this wasn't going to work. I told her I always fail. I always fail. It never works. I always get really excited. I try something new and I always fail. See, I just failed again. Or you can be out in the middle of your proverbial lake praying for your pump to work when you start taking on water. You can looking at this leak that has sprung up in your boat and just praying that your pump works when you turn it on. Or you can start to look ahead. You can do things ahead of time that set you up for success. And I have, I think, 7 things that I wrote down that are things that you can do ahead of time that are super simple things, but will keep you from just spending all your time putting out fires. So whether you're brand new to this, and this is your first challenge with us, and it's day 1 for real, or if this is a recommitment phase for you. So for a lot of us, I've been doing challenges for a couple years now, but I am starting Morning Meltdown 100 tomorrow, day 1. And I have my book and I've started filling out. I have done there's like 4 or 5 activities before you start that are not deal breakers. They're not necessarily things that are going to make or break directly my progress, but there are a lot of mindset things. Why is this important to you? What is it that you want to get out of this, and why? Because I'm going to tell you, I've never done anything intentionally for 100 days. I've done things accidentally for 100 days. I've done detrimental things for 100 days. bad habits over and over again. I have never done anything intentional for 100 days. And it scared me at first. I got really excited, but it scared me a little bit because I was like, dude, that is a long time. That's like more than a quarter of the year. And when I started thinking about it, I started thinking of all the things that were going to be coming up. Now, we homeschool, so we don't have that hard beginning of the school year line like a lot of people do, but we do live in civilization somewhat. I told you I live in the middle of nowhere, but it is still somewhat civilization. So I am still dealing with seasons of change. But even on our farm, I am dealing with, you know, baby goats that have weaned and need to be sold. I'm dealing with chickens that are literally alive today and will not be in a couple of weeks. And I'm dealing with all these kinds of things and change and all of that have an impact on my journey, whether I want them to or not, because we live in community, both in this group and in our families, in our places of employment. Whether you're single or married, there are other people who are factors in your journey. And I have to stop and think, what am I going to do and why is it important to me? Because if I don't, then when I'm having a rough day, suddenly my workout isn't going to seem so important. When everything else is crashing down, suddenly my plate for dinner for 2B Mindset isn't going to seem so important to me. So today was kind of a weird day for us. We slept in a little bit, which was great, but unintentional. And it shifted our whole day back a couple of hours. So we didn't go to church this morning, which meant we needed to go to church this evening. And we had people who showed up at our house for a visit in the middle of the afternoon. So I had a real small, quick lunch and then no snacks. And then we went to church. So I was like hangry, lightheaded kind of thing. And it would have been really easy for me to say, I am nursing a baby. I legit need the calories. I need to eat something. But because I have a strong hold on why this journey is important to me, I did need to eat something, but I was able to take a breath. We had tacos for dinner, but we make pretty clean tacos at this point. And I still was able to take a breath and put mine on top of a giant salad and trust the process. Because I guarantee you that a salad was not what I wanted in my emotional state leading up to dinner. But because I have a very clear picture of what I want and why it's important to me, I can make that decision. And I can still feel my body. I can still get enough calories so that I don't feel lightheaded. I'm out of Shakeology. It's on its way. That's always a quick, go-to for me. But I have a lot working against me today, right? But you have to have that clear. And the thing I love about this, whether you're doing Morning Meltdown 100 or not, you need to stop and think about why it's important to you. So I want to give you a couple of things that are common holes in our boats, right? Common obstacles that we face when we go through these challenges. Because us coaches, none of us are better than you. The only thing we have on you is having done it a little bit before you. That's truly it. Having done it often enough with enough different people that we can start to identify some trends and tell you what you can do to set yourself up for the best success. So the first thing that I want you to do, the first hole in your boat that you might encounter is not looking ahead. You need to look at your calendar and see what's coming. Sorry, the boys are starting to be kind of crazy. It's like a zoo around here. The first thing you can do is not look ahead. You need to look at your calendar and look for busy days. You need to look for those days when you're going to hit the ground running at 6 o'clock in the morning and not stop until 10 o'clock at night. It happens. And that can be or it can be a giant hole that's going to sink your boat. But if you think ahead and you're mentally prepared for it, you can have the crock pot going the night before. You can have your shake, maybe something extra. You can make sure that you've got beach bars in your car, or you can have a good snack that you can have available to you. You can plan out your workout. And if you need to tweak some things and say, look, I can't make it happen that day, so I'm going to do it on either side. I'm going to rework my calendar for this, or whatever it is, just looking ahead. So like I said, we're homeschoolers, so we have a little more flexible of a schedule, but the The downside of that is that I don't always plan ahead very well. I'm not used to having to pack lunches. I'm not used to having to get people to something at a certain time. So when we had VBS last week at like 6 to 8 or something crazy like that, my kids were like maniacs by the third day because it was so out of the norm for us. And I had to really think about what we were having for dinner, and it needed to be done at a certain time. So for us, we normally eat at about the same time, but if it's a little bit later, it's not the end of the world, you know? But I had to think ahead about those things so it wouldn't derail me. So if you have fall sports coming up, or if you have a day when you have a late meeting, I don't know, sometimes my husband has to work late or he has something that he has to go to, and I need to think ahead about those things. And it sounds so simple, but I guarantee you've run into it before where you forget to look at your calendar and something just pops out as if from nowhere, and it undoes you. It's not even that big of a deal, but it hits you and you feel so derailed by it. Just looking at the calendar at the beginning of the week and seeing where things line up makes all the difference in the world. Because there's just nothing worse than you having a short window of time in which to have dinner that has to be done by a certain time, and you have a frozen ice block of chicken in front of you. And there's nothing you can do. And that's when you end up ordering pizza, or you end up going out to eat or whatever, because you don't have it available. You guys have to be quiet. Okay, the second thing, you need to take a hard look at the food in your house. You just do. And maybe you are Superwoman, but there are some things that I simply cannot have in my house because I simply cannot say no to them yet. I have to just not have them for a while. And then there are other things that I used to not be able to have in my house that now I can, and I'm okay. Hey boys, go somewhere else, please. But there are things I had to say to my husband. There was something that I mean, in one case it was soda. In another case, it was like chocolate chips. I mean, I don't know why I felt like I always needed to have chocolate chips on hand, you know, in case of a baking emergency, but it never went that way, right? I'd buy the chocolate chips for a baking emergency. But that never really happened. It really just was like every time I walked through the kitchen, I'd have chocolate chips, kind of an emergency. So I had to stop that, right? I had to tell my husband, like, look, I'm not going to tell you can't drink soda, but I'm going to tell you on Monday, the soda has to go to work with you. Because if you leave it here, I will drink it. And now I'm to the point that it can be here, and we don't have a lot of soda in our house. It doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while it does, and I'm okay. But for a while, I had to say, look, it can't be here. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't eat. And I don't have any adult children. I know there are people on our team who have adult children, and there might be different rules, and you might have to have different things. And I mean, Angie was on here a little bit ago, and she had like snacks hidden in with her school supplies in a tub under her bed or something to keep them away from some of her kids, which I thought was hilarious. But like, your situation might change. But for me, I had to identify some things that I just didn't have a solid grip on yet, and they had to be out of the house. Because one thing that's definitely true is that if you use up all of your no's early on in the day, by the time you get to 8 o'clock at night, you're going to run out of no's. And what I mean by that is it's almost like you have a finite amount of willpower. Hold on just a second. Sorry, I had to tell my dish doer to stop for a second. Okay, I feel like we have a finite amount of willpower, like a measured amount of willpower each day. And if you press that willpower too much, too early in the day, it's like you run out. And I don't mean that literally, but that seems to be the way that it goes. Can you move out of this room, please? This would be the most interesting team call ever. Anyway, I feel like if I spend all of my energy saying no to things early on in the day, I lose that willpower as the day goes on. And so I want to save my no's for the hardest part of the day. So I want to set myself up for success throughout the day rather than having something sitting on the counter that I'm staring at saying no to all day long. Because by the end of the day, I'm tired. Or my kids won't go to bed and it's almost 9 o'clock. Or I'm trying to do a team call and they're running around like hooligans. You know what I mean? And then I get off the call and I'm like, oh, for Pete's sake, I give it up. I give up. I'm done. I'm eating. I'm drinking. Whatever's in sight goes inside, right? And I have to know that about myself and set myself up for success by not having those things around. Because you're hungry for what you see. And if you've got a jar of cookies sitting on the counter, eventually, maybe you won't, but eventually I give in. And I have to just not have those things, or not have them where I can see them, or not have them opened, or whatever it is. The third thing that I think can be a hole in your boat is not telling anyone what you're doing. A lot of times I think that we don't want to say it because we're nervous, either because we don't want to admit that we need help, or because we're not convinced we're not going to fail. And we want to save face a little bit, and we don't want to tell anybody what's going on. But I got to tell you, that's a hole in your boat. You need to find someone. It can be someone that you live with if they're supportive. But sometimes, even out of care for us, some of the people who are closest to us try to protect us, and it comes off as not being supportive. Like, are you sure you really want to do that? Are you sure you really want to invest in that? Are you sure you shouldn't save your money? Are you sure you shouldn't save your time? And they mean well, but it ends up sabotaging us. So if it's someone in your house, like a spouse or a parent or whatever, and they're supportive, that could be your person. But it might not be, and that's okay too. But you need to find somebody that you admire and that you don't want to disappoint. Now, the good news is a quality person isn't going to be disappointed in you, even if you have a momentary lapse. But it needs to be somebody who is important enough to you that you don't want to disappoint them. You don't want to have to say to them, I just gave up. I just gave up. It was hard and I just gave up. You don't want to, you want it to be somebody that you wouldn't want to have to say that to, right? And it can be your coach. It's awesome if it's another person in your challenge group, even if it's somebody that you don't know super well, but somebody that you commit to tagging in your sweaty selfie, or tagging in your food log each day, or tagging in a water challenge or whatever, some kind of an accountability partner that you have within your challenge group. And even if you tag them out on Facebook, nobody else knows what we're doing. Nobody else knows what's going on inside this group. So you could tag somebody randomly on Facebook and the rest of the world has no idea what's going on, except to say that it's clear to them that you are doing something positive and that you have a community rallied around you. And frankly, that's a great example for other people who feel like they're alone in this journey. So not telling somebody is a hole in your boat. Number 4 is a hard pill to swallow. And it's a little bit of tough love. But it made a huge, huge difference in my journey. The 4th thing that I identified as a potential hole in your boat is picking and choosing what to incorporate. You purchased a program, whether it was a workout program or a nutrition program or both. You invested something very valuable to yourself. Yes, your money, but also your time and your word and your commitment. And that's a big deal. And if you pick and choose what you follow, I'm just going to work out and eat whatever I want. Or I'm only going to follow this on the weekend. Or not on the weekend, during the week. Or I'm whatever. If you pick and choose what to follow, you know what? I don't really like that the containers say I can only have this glass of wine however often. I'm just going to keep having wine every night. That is a hole in your boat. You might as well be out in the lake shooting holes in the bottom of your boat. You have, these things are set up the way they are by people way smarter than me who understand how it all gets put together. It's kind of like, pardon me, because I love me some macaroni and cheese, and it's not a good part of my daily life anymore, but that doesn't mean I don't love it. But I had somebody tell me this metaphor once about if you are making macaroni and cheese and you boil your noodles and you strain off your noodles, right? But you say like, well, I can't really have butter, so I'm just going to leave that out. And I can put like fake milk in it because I can't really do real milk. And so I'm also not going to put the cheese in it, right? Because I can't do the dairy. And they mix it all up and take a bite. It's not going to taste like macaroni and cheese. It's going to be disgusting and such a disappointment, right? You cannot go into this picking and choosing what you feel like doing. Here's my calendar, but I'm only going to work out once a week. Here's my food program, but I'm just like, I'm going to still eat. Like if you're in 2B Mindset and the plate for 2B Mindset says 75% veggies and 25% protein for dinner, but you're still eating potatoes and bread at dinner, you are shooting a hole in your boat. You just are. And so I want to really encourage you, whatever it is, and if you haven't printed this out, you better do it. Starts tomorrow. Whatever one thing you decided you're going to focus on, Shakeology, your nutrition, or your workouts, commit to doing it, to really doing it. Print off the calendar for your program and follow it. Print off the nutrition program, watch the videos, and follow it. I have tried nutritional yeast. I think it tastes like cheap, cheesy popcorn, but it's better than nothing. Sorry. It's that chat that you're missing out on if you're watching the recording.
Sorry, really quick, what is that?
Nutritional yeast is literally a yeast product, but it has a cheesy flavor. And sometimes people sprinkle it on their food because it's dairy-free. And so it gives people the taste of cheese without, and it does. It really does taste like cheese. I think it tastes like, you know, when you would get a tin of popcorn that has a divider in it and there's like butter popcorn and caramel popcorn and cheese popcorn? I think it tastes like that cheese. It was not my favorite flavor, I'll admit. But it's actually a very healthy seasoning, for lack of a better word. It's really good for you. But people use it to make it taste like cheese when they can't have cheese. So you see it a lot in vegan recipes. Okay, moving on. So that number 4, really, guys, I cannot stress enough. You need to follow your program. Whatever your program is, you need to follow it. But number 5, the hole in the boat is trying to be perfect. And I know that sounds a little bit like a contradiction to what I just said, but bear with me for a second. If you throw the baby out with the bathwater, if you throw out to keep with the same metaphor, if you throw out all the fish you catch when you have a little hole in your boat, you're going to miss the mark. There's 100 days ahead of us. And I keep using that because it's kind of our theme. I'm committed to Morning Meltdown 100. I am doing it. But there might be a day that I miss. But do you know what that makes me? That makes me a person committed to 100 days who missed one. Not a failure. Not messed up. Not didn't cut it. I just missed one. And now we move on. I'm not starting over. I'm not, like, I just missed one. We move on. And I'm still a person who's committed to the 100 days. I still am. I will get there. And trying to be perfect, perfection is the lowest standard because it is impossible. You could do nothing and it would be a higher standard than trying to be perfect because you cannot do it. It is not possible. And so do not set yourself up for that. Set yourself up for commitment. Set yourself up with a plan, but do not beat yourself up over perfection. Okay, what was that? Was that 5? Number 6, thank you, sweetie. Number 6 is not checking in with the group. I told you at the beginning that this group is the link between your purchase and your results. It just is. I have seen enough challengers go through this that the ones who were there posting almost every day are the ones who get the results. The ones who are there encouraging the other people in the group are the ones who get the results. The people who are there sharing what they're doing, asking questions, and sharing when they struggle. Sharing when they struggle. Those people are the ones who get the results. You have got to commit to checking in. And that's part of why this I commit to 100 like doesn't count if you don't post it, right? So you did your thing and now you need to share it. You need, yeah, thank you, Kelly. You need to share your setbacks and share your comebacks, and that we can celebrate that with you. We are on this journey together, right? I don't want to finish first. I want to finish with you. I want to finish with you. I don't win extra. I don't get like a 5-pound bonus loss at the end for finishing first, right? If I finish my 100 days and none of the rest you do, I don't get an extra prize. There's no $1 million. There's no Lexus. There's no 10 pounds of bonus, right? I get the extra by us finishing together. So my commitment, in addition to my program, is to you guys. I'm here in this community because this community works. And when we link arms and go together, it's better. We all do better when we do it together. So that whole is not checking into your group. You've got to do it. So that was number 6, right? Sorry. I switched to on the fly, so the numbers on my paper in front of me are wrong. So I'm sorry. There were 2 that went together, and so I flipped them around. And then the last one, number 7, a hole in your boat is not pre-siding that you're going to do this. Because let me ask you a question. I'm going to use a terrible example for a health and fitness coach, but it really works and drives the point home. And some people on my team have heard me say this before. If you are out at a restaurant or a bar or whatever, and you're smoking, again, not a great example, but just go with it. And you offer a cigarette to somebody, and that person says, I'm trying to quit. Versus the person who says, no thanks, I don't smoke anymore. Who do you think is going to be the person 3 weeks, a month from now who's still not smoking? Which person has set themselves up for success? It's a terrible example from a health and fitness perspective because we're talking about people who are smoking, but it's a great example in terms of pre-siding. You need to pre-side now, today, that you are doing this. This is happening. You are committing to whatever. It is happening. You're not trying. You're not hoping. You're not seeing if it'll work. You're deciding. I got to tell you guys, this stuff is proven. This stuff works. There is no one for whom I just didn't work. No, if you work, it works, period. There is no question about that. I can find you thousands of people who can prove that. The only people for whom it doesn't work are the people who stop. The people who don't shore up the hose in their boat. The people who pick and choose. The people who disappear when it gets hard. The people who don't set themselves up for success. Those are the only people for whom this doesn't work. You have to pre-side that this is happening. Don't tell me you're going to try. Don't tell me you're going to hope. Don't tell me you're going to see. It is happening. You are doing it. You are making the progress. You have a strong reason for joining this. You have a strong personal connection to what you're going to get on the other side. You are looking at the faces of people who are in it with you, who are wholly committed to you and your progress, who are in the trenches with you, not just standing off on the sideline, yo, good job, you keep going. We're doing it. We're sweating it with you. We're eating it with you. We're making the sacrifices with you. That's why it works. And you have to pre-side that this is happening. If nothing else, you're burning the bridge. You're storming the beach and burning the boats. There's no going back. This is happening. I am doing this. It is working. And when we all do that, when we all do it together, then we all cross that finish line together. And we all get to celebrate together. And we all have the mindset shift together. And we all have the commitment together. And we all have the results together. So you look at this tonight, just being on the Zoom tonight, just watching the recording, all of those things are filling holes in your boat. The people that you see here are the ones who are doing this. Believe me, you heard all the chaos in my house. There are 100 other things that need my attention right now. But I have seen time and time again that when I show up for this, my whole week is better. I struggle to go to bed a little bit on Sunday nights because I get so excited that I can't and actually go to sleep, right? But the people who show up time and time again, the people who post in the group, the people who have that commitment, the people who filled out their book, the people who printed this out and shared in their group what it is that they're committing to, even if they miss a day. And they're humble enough to come back and say, dude, I had a week. It got real around here. I had kids with the stomach bug. I had animals that died. I had this. We went on vacation. We got a new puppy. Whatever. The basement flooded. Shoot, Kelly had one year where I feel like your whole house floated away like 4 different times. Because life happens. And it's never going to not. Because there's no perfect time. You're here because you know that the beginning of August is an asinine time to start a new challenge. Really. Maybe the only other dumber time is right at the beginning of the summer. Really? I'm going to say it. This is a crazy dumb time to start something new. But it's that important. And frankly, because it's a crazy dumb time, that's what makes it the best time. Because this is the time that you need it the most. This is a time when you need to take care of yourself the most. You need to breathe. You need to move. You need to feel good so that all the rest of that stuff can even get done. So that everybody can get to soccer practice and everybody can have their lunches made and get their homeworks done and apply for new jobs and finish their schoolwork and all of that. Because otherwise, you're too uncomfortable and in pain and out of breath to even handle it all. We have a lot going on and that's never going to change. So that's what makes this the time to commit. I get a little excited because it's made such a difference in my life, in every corner of my life. It's changed my body. I've lost 50 pounds over the course of 2 pregnancies. Not just 2 pregnancies, but including 2 pregnancies. It's changed my marriage. It's changed my friendships. It's changed my family, the course of the lives of my children, what our lives were like when my oldest kids were little compared to what they're like now, and what my younger children experience. It's changed the way that I view problems. It's changed the way that I view success. It's changed what counts as success. It changes the way that I view the importance of motherhood. It changes the way that I view social media, what the purpose of it is. It changes the way that I view meeting new people. It's changed everything about my life. I want you to check in for 100 days. It's a long time, over 3 months to check in for 100 days. Man, I haven't cried on Team Call in a long time. What will be true of you in 100 days? I'm so excited to see it. I can't even wrap my head around what this is going to be like 3 months from now when this group of people gets to come together and share what has happened. Because you have so much within you to share with the world. And I know that sounds like a big thing because you're thinking, well, I really just wanted to lose 20 pounds, Sarah. I get it. But who you become in the process is so much bigger than what you get at the end of it. Whew. That's what I got for you guys. I'm so excited about this. I can't even. I can't wait to see what's happening. And one of the biggest changes for me is that last piece about pre-sighting, is that looking at this and believing what's going to happen before it's happened. I get emotional because I look at you and I know what is possible because I've seen it happen so much in groups before you. And this is an even bigger deal because it's an even bigger commitment, and that you get to be in control of that boat and you get to set it up to sail beautifully through difficult waters because you have everything that you need in order to have a smooth journey. I love you guys. I'm so excited. Thanks for hearing me out tonight. I had a lot to say, but thank you. Thank you.
Girl, I mean, I want to be like, can I go work out now?
This is why I can't fall asleep on Sunday nights.
I can't either. Sundays and Thursdays, I'm like doomed after the calls. I'm like, oh, thank you so much, y'all. This was amazing. For those listening to the recording, go print off the sheet. I mean, I have mine here ready to go. And all of it, all of it. You want to give them a little call to action for tomorrow from tonight?
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Good night.
You know what I mean? There's so much good. I mean, I feel like maybe try to pick out your holes. Like, what holes do you see coming, or your biggest one? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I really think you need to decide on your one thing and have your sheet printed off. So if you were only going to do one thing, I would do that. And I would, look for holes. See if you can identify ahead of time, because then you're less likely to step in it.
Yeah. And tell your coach or tell the group that you're in, and like finding an accountability partner. Like, I messaged Sarah this week and was like, I'm going to need, like, in the book it says, who are your 100 tribe? Because I have people on our team that I know I need to help check on me when I have days that perfectionism kicks in,
And I do too. I have people in our group, but I have people outside our group too.
Yeah.
That I check in with every day.
It's important. So thank you so much. This was amazing. So many good things. Y'all, I am very excited. I'm excited for people doing Morning Meltdown, and I'm just excited for people taking the step if they're doing 21-day fix for 100 days or Shakeology for 100 days. Or no matter what it is, it's going to, if you do something for 100 days, like, the ripple is going to be huge. And I'm just excited. So do you feel like closing us in prayer?
Ooh, sure.
Yeah.
Now that I'm all fired up.
Right?
God, you are so good. You are so good. You're good when we are good, and you're good when we are undeserving. And you hold us up when we falter. You are strong when we are strong, and you are strong when we are weak. You are unchanging and incapable of failing in your promises to us. You are incapable of disappointing what you have said you will do for us. You are good, and we are grateful. I am so grateful for this team. I am so grateful for these souls that have come together thinking that this is about weight loss or clean eating. Because of course it's about those things, God, but it is about who we are and how we serve you best. Lord, show us where we need to put our focus. Show us in the din of our lives, in the chaos of our schedules. Show us where we need to put our focus so that we can stay committed to your purpose for our lives, so that we can have a smooth sailing on our journey, and we can navigate the rough waters with peace, with you in our boat. Help those of us who have no idea what we're doing know where to place our next step. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be with these people tonight. Please bless the people who couldn't be here. Please put it on their heart to watch the recording so that they can be set up for the best success in this phase of their journey. Show us a glimpse of who we could be at the end of these 100 days. And how we can fortify each other when things get difficult, because it's exciting now, but at some point it's going to get hard. Show us who our people are, who can strengthen us and remind us of what was exciting at the beginning. Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity to speak to these people tonight. Thank you for bringing everyone together. And please give us restful, peaceful sleep tonight so that we can begin tomorrow morning fresh and strong and committed. We ask these things in your Son's precious and holy name. Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for all listening to the recording. Thank you for taking the time. I want to encourage everyone as part of your 100 days to make these calls a priority when you can. And, you know, how awesome would it be to have, I mean, we have over 150 people in all of our challenge groups, probably more. How awesome would it be if we could get 100 people on the call just for more ripples? It's not about a number, it's more about a soul. So thank you for taking the time out, because I know it's Sunday night and it takes time away from family, but my hope is, I know my cup is like overflowing. So you did amazing, Sarah. Love you, girl. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night. Take care.